a slave to my jealousy, a slave to my unforgiveness, a slave to my lust, a slave to my greed. All of those are passions. Is laziness. For instance, I have a gym membership. Stopped. It's supposed to be a joke. You did the right thing. Because I really do have a gym membership. It's a waste of time. We all do. Why don't we go? I'll tell you why I don't go. I'll say it right into the camera. I'll tell you why I don't go. I don't want to. I don't want to. Because the truth is, in your life and in my life, listen to me. You do what you truly want to do. You do. If you truly want it bad enough, you'll pay the price necessary to get it done. What a beautiful day this Sunday morning is. The golf course is calling. But it's divine liturgy in just a bit. What do you want? What are you willing to give to invest in eternal things? How much do you value your Orthodox faith? These three giants are at your doorstep every morning. And they will make you a slave to your passions. Did you know that moral orthodoxy has a remedy and a cure for each one of those giants that makes them completely impotent and destroys their power over you? Would you like to know what those remedies are? Would you? By the way, I'm not making up any of this stuff. This is all old. I had an original idea once. It was very wrong. So I've abandoned original ideas. Most of you, if you've ever heard my story before, you know I was raised a Pentecostal. And what drew me to Orthodoxy was a love of church history. Me and my best friend Rod were studying church history. He was a Pentecostal pastor too. And we came across these Orthodox people. And I said, Rod, I keep coming across these Orthodox people. They're wonderful. Have you ever seen one before? And he said, oh, no, I don't think so. I said, well, do you think they made it? Maybe they didn't make it. Maybe they died out. He said, I don't know. Well, fortunately, we found some Orthodox, so we didn't have to restart the church. That was really good. But the reality was, I mean, it's not like you guys come get us. Can you do it? I'm having a hard time opening this end. I don't want to open that end. I want to open the other end. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And so as we began to study and as we began to look at church history, we fell in love with the Orthodox faith. And then we met some Orthodox people and we converted. I was pastoring a very large church in the evangelical Protestant world, and I was in Christian media, radio and television. I was about to launch a TV ministry, and I told my dad, Dad, I'm becoming Orthodox. You know what my dad did? He put his face in his hands and he shook his head back and forth and said, Son, why would you become Jewish? But isn't that what you think? I mean, when your kids tell the kids at school that they're Orthodox, oh, you don't look Jewish. But they don't know, and we haven't told them. So consequently, that's what they think. Later on, I explained to him, I said, Dad, I'm becoming Orthodox because I need a fireplace for my fire. As a Pentecostal, I was very excited and very exuberant. Believe it or not, this is me calm. And I had a lot of fire, but I had no fireplace. So what happens when you build a fire in the middle of your house and no fireplace? You burn the house down. And with an uncontrolled fire, it's dangerous. It's not helpful. Your passions are exactly like that if you don't have a way to discipline your passions so that they become your servants and not your masters. The fire of our lives, the fire of our lust. Why do you think the confusion and the chaos of this present society is all about sex? Why do you think that is? Because the desire for physical intimacy is a strong passion in us. And if it isn't controlled, if it isn't developed and disciplined, it becomes wildfire. And it destroys rather than gives life. It was meant to serve humanity, not rule humanity. And the normal Orthodox way of life gives us the tools each of us needs to build a fireplace for the fire of our passions. So, there are 3 cures that overcome ignorance, forgetfulness, and sloth. What do you think the first cure is for ignorance? Knowledge. Makes sense. What else? What cures ignorance?
Learning.
Say it again.
Learning.
Makes sense. What cures ignorance? Would you like to know what the church says? Can I warn you ahead of time, this is going to surprise you? The cure for ignorance in the normal Orthodox Christian life is prayer. You knew that. You just didn't know you knew it. The Apostle Paul says to the Philippians that we are to pray without ceasing. Normal Orthodox Christianity teaches you about the Jesus prayer, doesn't it? You ever heard about the Jesus prayer before? Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. The cure for ignorance in Orthodoxy is prayer. Why, Father Barnabas? Because knowledge is not the cure for ignorance. Ignorance is not a symbol of a lack of information, because there are a lot of brilliant people in this world who don't even believe there's a God. I was in Boston, Massachusetts, going to seminary, and came across some professors of theology in other schools that were atheists. How are you a professor of theology and don't believe there's a God? And yet, it wasn't a lack of accumulating information. I like when an old a guy by the name of Chaplain in Bourbon Street years ago said, education, education. We're all the time talking about education. Nowadays, we're just so educated, we're going to hell smart. It isn't an accumulation of information that cures ignorance. It's prayer. Because what does prayer create? Prayer creates intimacy. Do you know what the Old English word was for Adam and Eve making a baby? The Bible says, and Adam knew his wife Eve, and she conceived. Knowledge and intimacy and a relationship with God that is vibrant and alive and growing and is expressed by God. Let me ask you a question. Can you have a friend that you never talk to? Never talk to her. How deep is that friendship? I know, my girl, my 13-year-old daughter has some friends, and all she does is talk to them. Text them all the time. Text. They'll be sitting across from each other and texting each other. They're constantly talking to each other. Intimacy destroys ignorance. And normal Orthodox Christianity calls you to the discipline of continuous prayer. Because spending time with God and spending time with your brothers and sisters who are spending time with God makes you like Jesus Christ. If you want to overcome ignorance in your life, if you want the giant of ignorance to just be destroyed in your life, pray every day. Pray every day, and not just private prayer, corporate prayer as well. Most of our problems can be fixed in our families by if we would just simply follow 3 words. Go to church. Go to church. Go to church. Go to church.